Just awesome. Well, Dr. Kristine, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here. I'm excited to have you on here today.
Yeah, this is going to be a great conversation. I feel like we could talk chiropractic and business for hours, so this is going to be a powerful session.
Yeah. Let's just jump right in. And so you are obviously just an incredible human being, but you've built an incredible practice as well. You're in top 1% territory when it comes to chiropractors. Just very practically, and then we'll go into the deeper stuff here in a sec. But like very practically, your practice sees over 500 visits a week. Your top 1% territory. What does a typical week look like for you inside the practice right now versus earlier on in practice?
Yes, my practice it's amazing. Thank you, Jesus, for everything that he's done in my practice and the miracles I get to experience. We just get to be a part of people's stories, so I really feel like God owns my practice and I just work in it. Um, and I think you're right. The trajectory of like who you are your first year in practice as volume grows does change because your focus gets narrowed. You start out, I mean, doing everything and being everything to everyone. And like that's where you're supposed to be in the beginning. Like you're just running the place. Like you're running the plays, you're running the playbook, you're doing everything, you're going everywhere, you're doing all the marketing. And then when you have some sort of foundation as the office grows, you can kind of narrow your focus. And I loved that season of practice. I did. Like the grind, the all out, like it was do or die. This is now or never. You're gonna help people or you're not. But I think learning to love every season of practice and now it's very different. I'm so blessed to have like an incredible team that handles things so well that I can just do what I'm really gifted and called in, adjusting and then leading and pouring into my team. And then getting to do like some more special projects within the practice too. That was something I could never do when I was doing everything and I was everything to everyone. But I think that trajectory has to happen to everybody. Now, I adjust 3 days a week in the office, so to be specific. I'm in the office 3 days a week, which is awesome. And I do majority of adjusting, report of findings, and then just leading the team and leading the business well so it can be stable and successful for not just the patients, but for my incredible team.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I think that a lot of people talk about, there's a lot of, and I was thinking about this earlier this morning, there's so many ads online promising everything to chiropractors or saying to do this, and everybody's got their social media and saying, this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to do. And I think, for me personally, I feel like for many, and it's not just for chiropractors, this is for businesses in general. I think for many of us, we're focused on the wrong things, when it comes to growing the practice and what it's going to take to kind of get to that point of, hey, I'm not in the practice every single day and every single moment. I'm actually working on some things outside of the practice that God is calling me to. And you and I have talked about this, going from a boss to a leader, right? And you talked about early stage in practice where you got to be a boss, right? Because you're the only person there, But I think that, you know, you've probably heard, and if you're listening to this, you've probably heard people talk about like, oh, I know I need to be, I've heard people say you got to go from a boss to be a leader. I've heard that before. I've heard leadership, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, as you know, it really comes down to a shift, right? Like we have to have a shift in how we're going to do things, like it's when, I don't know if you're listening to this and I can remember this, when I shifted from like not being healthy to being healthy, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to start doing these systems. It was like, no, I'm going to look at things differently. Like I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to do my life differently. So for you, and you've done such a good job of this. This is why I'm asking you, like, what was that actual shift for you? Like, what did you stop doing? What did you start doing that allowed you to be, and I love that you say, oh, I'm blessed with a great team, and you are blessed with a great team. And you've also developed a great team, And so it's like, everybody has great teams, but like great teams that can run the office when you're not there. So what was that shift for you?
I think a boss is someone that tells you what to do, and a leader shows you who you can become and shows you who they are. So it's more of being an example and loving your team and loving what they're gifted in and encouraging them in that than telling them what to do. Like yes, there's some of that, but the way you develop a great team is you consistently are who you say you are. and you show up for them with consistency, strength, love, passion for what we do, and you be the example. And, when you have a long-standing team, some of my team members, I've been in practice 6 years, they've been with me, over 5. So as the business grew and I needed more team members, pretty much everybody has stayed on, which is great. I have a team doctor and then 5 CAs with me right now, and I adore all of them. And I have gotten very close to them over the years, but I think it's most important to develop the character of each person that's on your team for the role that they're given, and then they'll hit the metrics. They will, because you care about their humanity. And to me, team is more important than the patients in my practice, because they're the ones in the trenches for you. And let me tell you, my team has my back, and they have my back because they know whatever I say I'm going to do, and I am 100% there for them, and there from them in a spiritual sense, but also like a health practice standpoint. We are all living lives and we all go through things, and walking with them through the lens of Christ and also through the lens of a principled life through every season of their life. Like they've given the practice and our patients so much, despite I know that they've gone through some trials with the years that they've been with me. Being able to stand beside them and hold their hand and have them also watch me go through difficult things and difficult seasons, and not telling them everything, but being an example is going to develop your team the most, and giving them the time and the consistency and having good boundaries.
I feel like most people look at their team members as someone that can make money for them, right? Like, oh, well, they got to do their job well so they can make money for me. And I think that's not wrong. That's the truth. They do need to create, revenue for us, but that's just one part, you know what I'm saying? And so I think that, and this is why you and I connect so well, is because I think there's really two philosophies when you're building a business. It's like, do I want to be a boss and tell people what to do and have control? Or do I want to be a leader that allows them to become who they're called to be? This is half their life, like people are spending half their life at your office, And so it's like, we really want to make sure we're doing that. And I think as people are listening to this, they're probably like, how is it possible that you've had your team the entire time? You know what I'm saying? Like, how are they all staying? Like, how are they actually running the practice and you're not there? And I want people to hear this and hear what you just said, is that like, you care about them deeper than just what they can make for you or the mission. And I'm not saying that the mission is not important, but like you said, like the team becomes before the mission, right? Your family we've talked about this in other episodes. Your family comes before the mission, right? Because that's what God's called you to first, right? And so I just thought that was such a great way that you explained it. And let's just talk about hiring for a second. I feel like I have to ask you this, but like, what are you looking for in people that you hire that you feel like, and I know you've talked to a million other chiropractors, what do you feel like you're like looking for when you hire that maybe others miss or are not looking for, that you, because this is ridiculous. I mean, the fact that you've been able to keep team, and I know each of your team members, and they're all awesome, but like, what do you feel like you're looking for in hiring, or like the thing that like is like, oh, that's the person that other people might miss?
One, I come from a standpoint that they are my responsibility, and I don't take that lightly, to steward them, to lead them well, to care for them as my team. Like I went to chiropractic school. I read the green books. Like most of my team, I found on Indeed. I've only hired one patient, which I actually think is kind of uncommon for chiropractic.
Right.
A lot of chiropractors hire their patients, which is amazing and wonderful. Of my team, I've only hired one that was a former patient. So these are all just Indeed hires. But I have to like them. I want to be able to pour into this person, so I want to like them, and I want to make sure they're humble and they're coachable. And when they hear what chiropractic truly is, like they get a sparkle in their eyes, like, oh, this is not just like a front desk job. This is like so much more. And you can feel that when you talk to them.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, it's such a great point that you made there. Coachable, hungry, willing to grow. Like, if they're willing to learn and grow like you are, right, then that's the key, right? The key to the practice actually running and like you being a leader is the practice being able to go without or run without you. It needs to be able to grow without you, right? your team members need to be growing. And I'm not saying, and I think sometimes we think about like, oh, I want the practice to run by itself. It's like, I don't know if that's necessarily reality. Like nobody really has a business that just completely runs by itself. But I think that you step more and more away from the day-to-day things and more, and this is where I think a lot of people miss. And you step more into the leadership things, right? Developing them, growing them, making sure they have everything that they need, and then allowing them to become who God called them to be, which you've done such a great job of that. And your team is a testament to that. And I love that we're talking about this because it's just like, this is honey, guys. Like this is the real stuff because if you're listening to this and you've been on the hamster wheel of grinding and grinding and grinding and trying to find these team members and looking at resumes and saying, oh, they'll fit for this spot or for this spot, for this spot, and not thinking about, hey, I'm bringing people into my life, like Kristine said, where God's giving me responsibility over these people and I'm called to develop them, and there's a freedom that I know that you have and that is possible for everyone when we just make that shift, right? When we make that shift of like, I'm going to be their boss and tell them what to do and find people and control this whole thing versus I'm going to build a practice with my team, So yeah, any other thoughts on that? I had one more question, but any other thoughts on that?
And I think there's seasons because, like, also my team knows, like, I've gone before them and I've done all that they're doing too. And they trust me and they trust my feedback, but I also trust their feedback on things now. But I think one thing that's, I think, just not a problem to solve within chiropractic because chiropractic is so beautiful. We should have a million successful 500 plus a week offices with multiple doctors, with big teams, allowing doctors to take vacations and raise families. Like, chiropractic is so beautiful and the entire world needs it. And I just have such a heart for chiropractors. But our transition, it's like the transition from student to doctor is a challenging one for most chiropractors. And they're like more slow starts because they're still in a student mentality rather than, no, I'm the doctor, I'm the leader. I'm going to show you and like hold your hand through like innate principled health and healing and call out not just the potential in your nervous system, but the potential in your life and the potential you have as like a Christ follower. There's that upswing and that transition is, I think, the first difficult one that most chiropractors struggle with. The second one is changing from all patient facing to all team facing, or all patient facing to part patient facing, part team facing. It hits your ego because you're like, not all the patients need me anymore. It's such a big transition. Fortunately, I made that transition with you guys, and you guys were able to help me realize that there's such a deeper calling within chiropractic, not just raising up good patients, but raising up other good chiropractors in your team so you can see more people and lead more people, and learning to love that. Like learning to say, like, yes, of course, I love putting my hands on patients and adjusting them and adjusting volume. I did 500 a week by myself for a significant portion of time. Like, I love volume. I love adjusting. I love praying over people and adjusting atlases. But here's the truth, like, God calls you to raise up as a leader as well. And that means that you're not going to be all patient facing anymore. If you really want to take this principle to the world, if we really want chiropractic to grow and get a foothold and be what it should be in like leaders in healthcare, you're going to need more strong chiropractors at the helm that are leading other chiropractors and leading good teams if we want to make this thing successful and not have a bunch of 50 a week offices where the chiropractor is miserable. They can't make their bills. They can't hire a good team. They can't pay a good team. That chiropractic is way too beautiful and it's way too necessary, and people need it too much to have that be our story. And that transition, just to sum it up, between like going from all patient facing to part patient facing and part team facing, it's a tough transition, but you got to be strong, and you can't get your needs met from your practice. Your needs have to be met in Christ first.
Yeah. And like, this is probably oversimplifies it, but I think about this sometimes. I'm like, you get so much dopamine from adjusting a lot of people, like, and then being like, you help me. Yeah. You help me. You help me. And then all of a sudden you get less of that. But I think, and you brought up something that I'm really thinking about it a lot now. And I want to talk about, like, what do you feel like, moving into that deeper calling that you have is I think an ingredient to transition for you to make that second transition, like the first transition from like student to becoming a doctor, it's like, I just need money. Like, I need to be able to eat or else I won't be able to be a chiropractor anymore. That second transition, because usually when you're trying to make that transition, you're making money, right? Because you're the product, right? you have to have a deeper calling. You have to have something that's calling you. For some of you, it may be, for me right now, like in my life, like my deeper calling is my nonprofit and serving the kids, but like you need to have that. It could be your family, it could be your wife or your husband or your kids or your church community or whatever it is. But there needs to be a deeper calling to get you to unroot from that other place. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't have that, like when we work together, we still work together, but like it's like, and more as, I mean, I feel like more as friends now, but like it's it's I just saw the calling that you had on your life and I was like, oh my gosh, she's called to this. Did you? And we had conversations about it. I was like, did you know you're called to, like, you're called to this? And it's like, yeah, I'm called to, and we're like, whoa. And then like, it was like, okay, well then if I'm going to go that way, then this must be versus I'm going to try to be out of the practice for a couple days, or I need to take a vacation, or I want to go have a margarita on the beach. I'm telling you, I've had the margaritas on the beach for an extended period. I lived in Puerto Rico for almost 3 years. It's not all it's cracked up to be. After about 2 months, you're like, I want to get back to doing something meaningful, And so whatever that looks like in that transition, I do feel like like a key piece to transitioning out of that, like in the practice all the time is you have to have something that is bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? Than you being in the office. And I think for a lot of people listening to this, it may be your wife and kids. You might be like, I don't spend any time, or your husband and kids. I don't spend any time with my family. I'm in the practice all the time. And so that's worth it. Like I'll ask people, what do you want your 18-year-old to say when they leave the house? Like, what was more important, you or the mission? Right. And that's something you got to answer for yourself. Is the mission of chiropractic more important than, let's just say, your kids? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that you'd be like, oh, Dave, you're being, no, look at how you spend your time. Look at who gets your best time, and and are your kids getting your best time? Is your practice getting your best time? And I'm not saying that your practice can't get good time. What I'm saying is that I think that sometimes we're kind of stuck in this place of like, well, I'm comfortable. It's wearing on me, but I'm comfortable. But I feel like you need to have that higher calling, that calling to push you into it.
Absolutely do. But I think the problem in chiropractic is that chiropractors, they don't get successful enough quickly enough to make the transition. They get stuck with one foot in one door not really being effective and one foot in the other door not being effective. I do think the first handful of years of your business are do or die. It's not that it doesn't come before your family and it doesn't come before your Sabbath, but like you've got to get it into a place to transition to that next season. And I think chiropractors struggle in that. Most of us actually struggle within that season, and then they get caught and they can never really be the parent that they want to be. And that was a huge motivating factor for me, was like, I want to be a wonderful present wife and mother. And I've done this. I've made it successful enough where like I can then transition. But you've got to put the work and the effort and the blood and the sweat and the tears to get to that point, because it is not happening magically. It really isn't, especially in chiropractic. Like we're the redheaded stepchild of the medical model. We shouldn't be. Chiropractic is beautiful. It's perfect. It's like everybody needs it. Everybody needs a clear nervous system, but we don't operate from that standpoint. Most of us, we operate from an ego-driven system, or that my practice is going to meet my needs, and it never will. Christ will meet your needs. Your identity in Christ will meet your needs, and then out of that flow will be your office. But you've got to be successful enough to be able to reprioritize.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just to go back to what we were talking about earlier, I think the reason why we don't transit like that, why that people don't get successful enough, is we're trying to control everything versus leading teams, bringing on team members, leading even ourselves, making sure that we're being led. You know what I'm saying? Like, how much time is saved by like asking for help, for example, where it's like, I don't know how to do this. And it's like, ask for help. I had the flu. I still have the flu. I asked Kristine for help, So it's like asking people for help or for guidance and making sure that you're getting the right guidance is super important. And just while we're on that, and then I do want to transition into calling, is when you're thinking about who you're getting your advice from, right? And I'm not just talking about coaches, I'm talking about friends, family, in all things, whatever it is. This is the one thing, and I don't want to go deeper into this today. We could probably add this as a topic for our next episode that we do together. But like, look at the fruit of the people's lives that you're following. It's
Yes.
very important. And I'm not just talking about the financial fruit, because first off, financial fruit is very easy to fake, right? And so you'll see people online, yeah, we're doing $300,000 a month, like in profit. You're like, I'm not saying that you're not, but I'm just saying, like, if you're doing $300,000 a month in profit, like you have a $4 million a year business. You know what I'm saying? Something's not adding up here, right? And so oftentimes, right, there are some people that are honest and true about it, but look at the fruit of their life, the fruit of their marriage, the relationship with their kids. Like, look at that fruit and say, do I want that same fruit?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Um,
saying? Like, for you, for me, like like my top priority for all of us is for us all to be in heaven together. Like that's my top thing is like above anything else is that we all get to heaven together. And so that's going to guide my decisions. That's going to guide who I work with, my thought processes and all that stuff. And I just think it's so important that when you are getting advice, because you could say, Dave, and Kristine, I am busting my butt. You know, I am working full time. Team is transitioning in and out. My systems are all over the place, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but I'm in this group and I have this coach and this guy's doing this and this is doing this. And it's like, you got to look at the fruit of their life, you know? And unfortunately in chiropractic, and I'm not saying that, oh, Dave knows all the answers. No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that I'm telling you publicly right now that I do not know all the answers. I'm just willing to work with you, like work with whoever it is until we get to the right answer, right? Because I don't think that all practices should be run the same way. I don't think there's one template that this one person came up with and that's the way to run it. I think it's different. Kristine has worship sessions at her office. You know what I'm saying? Why have you heard that? Where offices are having worship at their praise and worship at their office, right? It's probably a good, referral system, but I know it's not for a referral system. So everybody runs their office a different way. People are in different towns, different areas, different structures, different personalities. And so I would just ask that when you are getting advice and counsel, or if you're in that kind of earlier stage and you're like, man, we're just not, chiropractic is so simple. It is not this complex machine that we need freaking AI and no, it's like very, very simple. We have a really good product. It works really freaking well. And we have and there's a lot of really good systems, but the system's very basic. Like patients need to be under chiropractic care. They need to be under care plans. There's a zillion different ways you can do care plans. I don't care how you do the care plans, right? Just get them under chiropractic care. My point is just look like the fruit, look at the fruit of the people that you're working with and the people that you're talking to and the people around you. And if you're all like, oh, everybody's stuck here, it's like, maybe it's time to look elsewhere. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. I'm very selective with who I let speak into my life. It is a very, very small subsect of people. And number one, they have to be like a Jesus follower because all of that, all my entire life and everything that I want to become and who I am and Jesus is going to stem from biblical principle. And if I would trade into their life. So I take advice from a very, very small amount of people.
Yeah, and people, if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't believe in God or whatever, this is the thing. I'm not going to push God on you. I actually won't, believe it or not. I'm not going to push God on you. But what I will say is that biblical principles, when you're working with someone that follows biblical principles and someone that doesn't follow biblical principles, and I've done this in many business situations, there's different rules that you're playing by. There's different rules of the game that you're playing by. Does that make sense? It's in a different space than just like, oh, they have some good tactics, right? They're playing by different rules of the game. Like if my goal is, hey, I want to be lifted up and I want to make a lot of money, or my goal is, I want to serve a lot of people and get to heaven with a lot of people, which you'd hope that your goal, like that all of our goal is, right? Then you're going to have different rules that you'll play the game by, right? Because if those people matter, well, you're going to treat your team differently. That's if eternity matters, like you're going to treat your clients differently. You're not going to sell something into somebody into something they don't need. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna look differently. And I think that in Chiro, we've just had a long time. And again, you're going to hear me say this stuff. And if anyone wants to battle me on any of these statements, I love a good chat. Come on the pod, and we'll talk about it. But I truly believe that the best way for just to break through the different seasons is to make sure that you're around the right people. Like they will help you get there. Like the right people, the right community will help you get there. Like they'll just believe in you. You know what I'm saying? And then they'll just keep going, keep fighting for you.
I
So
mean,
let's,
beyond
Go ahead.
On like being a Christian, I would say your values have to align with that person. And like they have, in my opinion, they have to be ahead of me. So I'm not taking advice from someone that's behind me. Will I talk to them? Yes, but I likely will not take advice from them unless they've walked the path that I've walked. So higher revenue, higher volume, bigger impact, whatever it is that I'm looking for, I would trade mine for theirs. And then I definitely look at like their relationship with their kids and their spouse, because I think
Yeah.
that, that's a big one. Would I trade into their life? And if that answer is yes, and they're further ahead, then likely I'll take their advice. It's a small subset of people. And
Yeah,
a
and I
lot
think
of
that I have a friend of mine that I think I do better than financially. However, he is such a incredible husband and father that it's like
right.
in that relationship, and I know you were saying this because I know you have this. In that relationship, it's like no, I'm in relationship with him because he's such a good example to me of what a good humble like a good father is. You know what I'm saying? And so like I love having him in my life in that way. And then the business, but I agree with you like and this is where it takes a lot of discernment, guys, because everybody's out there saying that they're doing this, and this. And if you, I'm not going to spill the beans on all of chiropractic, but I'm just saying, as someone who has been privy to a lot of conversations behind the scenes, not all is as it say it is. It is. I'm not saying that everybody is just, crazy. What I'm saying is especially in the knowledge, coaching, practice management space, not all is as it always says it is. And so just do your due diligence. Because I know that for me and Kristine, like you shared, like that's really a big reason why. Not just like and not just from the business side. It's like I'll have these mentors and the people that we're talking about, like I'll be able to have prayer time with them and pray with them and work through some really difficult things with them. Like I can honestly say I would not be where I'm at right now if I wasn't very, very particular about, Kristine, you could probably say the same, very, very particular about who I surround myself with.
Yeah.
If you
And I
came over to my house or hung out for a week, you would see why I am how I am because you see the people that come over, the people that I have dinner and lunch with and Bible study with. And so super, super important. Let's keep going. I knew that once we got on, I was like, we could just do like a full marathon. Maybe we'll start a stream and do a 24 marathon, but
like 20 minutes and it would be 2 hours later.
right, right.
I'm
Meanwhile,
not
I was like, I'm sick. I was like, let's do 30 minutes. Let's keep going on a few things and then we'll close out.
another another.
Right, right. So we were talking earlier about like getting out of that like let's just call it phase two. Phase one is like that shift from going from student to doctor. Phase two is that shift from going to doctor to owner, essentially. Let's just call it that kind of to leader, right? Doctor to leader. Let's call it that phase two. And we talked about having like a calling. What do you feel like? Or I'm just curious, just from on a personal note. What has God been calling you to you in this season? Like as you've transitioned from being like the office is the only thing, what does God transition you into?
I do feel like people development. Yeah, developing people, whether that be within my church and ministry or through the office with my team or other chiropractors. I have such a heart for the chiropractor. I just think we're just all, chiropractors are phenomenal. Like especially those that love the Lord.
Yeah. And so keep going, keep going.
Yeah, I think that's it. And then calling out other potentials, like potential in others, and doing some good like healing and chain breaking work with some good women in particular.
Yeah, yeah, and I've seen that firsthand. Hey, so just on calling for a second, because people, again, I've had conversations with a lot of people on, is this what God is calling me to, or is this what God is calling me to? Like, how do I discern whether, this is what God really wants me to do? You know what I'm saying? Or is this just what I want to do? And so I know different people have different perspectives on this, but I'm curious what your perspective on is of like discerning is like, is this a God calling or is this me just like wanting to get out of practice?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of that too. I think we have a lot of runners we like to chase shiny new things also in chiropractic, and there's something to be said about those that stay. And there's power and longevity within chiropractic and how you do it. One, you go back to the last thing that God said to you that you were sure on. I think a lot of us, we tend, our own voice tends to be God. And we really need to go back to the last thing that he said to us. And then just doing the next right thing. And God will get you there. Like just do the next right thing. Don't
Yeah.
think 10 steps ahead. Like you
Yeah.
need to what's here now. A lot of most chiropractors and most people, I think they jump ahead real fast. They speed up the timeline and then it breaks down because you miss your character development
Yeah.
that God's really trying to do.
Gosh,
It's
it's so
not really
good.
about what you're doing. It's who you're becoming in the process. I mean, chiropractic is just it's a vehicle at which I become the woman in God that I'm supposed to be. It's the vehicle, but it's not who I am. It's just how I practice who I am. But that can be displayed in many, many different ways.
That's such a good thing to think about. Like, what was the last thing you were clear on that God told you that God was clear with you about? And again, by all means, like, I'm not saying that, hey, the goal of we're talking about all this so you can get out of practice and go do something else. That's not actually not it at all. I think for most chiropractors, it's like, no, I just want to get out of that phase that I thought was only going to last for 3 years, but now I'm 13 years in and my kids are getting older. You know what I'm saying? It's, you
That's
got to
it.
go, you got to be like, what is that next thing? And you'll hear me say this. If you ever work with me, you'll hear me say this. The most I'm going to respect you for is for the parent, the spouse you are, and the parent you are, far more than how you run your practice. But I will know how well your practice is running based on what your family life looks like. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that to be like, but I'm just saying that, and I'm not talking about struggles in family and kids being sick and all that stuff. I'm not talking about that at all. What I'm talking about is um, having our priorities in order, because if I used to have this question that I would ask new clients or prospective clients, and I do a lot of work in, as you know, I do a lot of work in kind of the enterprise space still. But a question I would ask them, I would say, if I could make you $10 million next year, but you lost your family, would you still do it? And I think I probably asked that question 20 times. And one time someone actually said yes. They're like, yeah, I can't stand them. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to work with you. Uh, but like, it's something that's a very serious question that I think we should really be thinking about is like, I think you made a great point. It's like, we're stuck in that spot. And so we try to say, hey, just going to do this, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do, and again, I have nothing against like weight loss and some of these different things that people go into. I mean, whatever, I'm not chiropractic, just for the record. Chiropractic chiropractic needs to stay unadulterated and is the best thing just as chiropractic. If I could pick one, it would be that, but I think that we try to we try to skip ahead or take shortcuts to that next place. And you made such a good point, Kristine. It's like, no, there's a development time during that time where you need to learn how to develop leaders. And if you don't learn how to develop leaders, you'll go into the next business and you'll get to the point where you have to learn how to develop leaders. And then oh, it's not working. I'm telling you, it's your leadership. It's like you must develop as a leader so that your team can develop in their leadership and your team can then run the show. You know what I'm saying? Or run more of what they're called to do. I'm not saying, and I think for a lot of docs, like you're still in the office a couple days a week, but it's like you're going there and it's like you're part of the team when you show up there. You know what I'm saying? And you're able to be the guide outside of that, And so I think that there is such good character, but that can be built, and like leadership that like be built in kind of that furnace. But it's not built when you're thinking, and if you're thinking about your week, it's like, I'm just trying to get through to next week. I'm just trying to get through to next week. It's not built by that, And I think that I would encourage everybody listening to this to be thinking about like what Kristine said a couple minutes ago. What was the last thing that God was very clear with you on? And I would really encourage you to pursue that right now, because I think that when you start pursuing that, at least from what I've experienced and what I've seen, is when you start pursuing that, all those other little things will be added unto you. And so it's like faith, I feel like, makes this simple, have faith, no, be working. I want to close with this and hear your thoughts on this. And I've shared this with you quite a bit of like just the level of peace that pursuing the Lord in an active way has brought me. And again, if you're listening to this, you're like, Dave, I didn't know it was a Christian show. If you want to get out, you can head out and come back to the next one. But I'm going to talk about it.
Don't get out.
Stay in it. But there's the level of peace that has come from just like filling myself with things that are good. And if you don't know God at all, and you're like, I don't believe in God, Dave. My dad said something the other day that I thought was that was really special. And he was talking to some family members that don't believe in God. And he said, just don't write it off. It's like, just don't write it off. And he's getting older and he's had some health issues, but he's like, just don't write it off. And because there's a level of, he knows it. I know my dad has that piece. I know you have that piece. I've experienced that piece. Even with the flu, I'm still experiencing the piece, 98%. But that piece of knowing God, like, can you talk a little bit about like how that the experience has been for you? What does that feel like for you? What's that experience like for you?
Such a big question, Dave. Jeez. One, if you're not a believer, I would say that even if you don't believe there's a Father in heaven that loves you, created you on purpose for a purpose, even if you don't believe it, it's true. You're loved beyond more than you could ever imagine. And He created you on purpose. The world needed you, needed exactly you, and that you have a purpose on your life. And I think if you run to the world, you'll lack peace because you'll seek other people's approval constantly. And whether it be in chiropractic or your volume or your finances, or you'll try to seek validation and self-worth in the wrong things. And those wrong things are empty. So you'll come up empty. But when you read the Word of God and you listen to who He says you are, and you are willing to be put, and it is a fire. I mean, walking with Christ does not mean your life is easy. It actually means that it'll get tremendously harder. There's a standard that's set, and you'll get attacked, and it's not easier. It's not, but peace is way better. Having peace in your life is way better than having ease in your life, or having things easy, or whatever you want to call it. I think being willing to be in the fire and being developed into the person that you're supposed to be, being willing to do that, that's where you'll find peace, because you'll realize anything the world could give you is empty. So as you, and especially as a successful chiropractor, like you could find your self-worth in your practice, in your patients, in your results, but you will come up empty, and there will be a hollowness within you, because that's not what your soul seeks. Your soul seeks to worship your Father. Your soul seeks to be validated in Him and who He created you to be. So I just, it's hard to explain,
No, no,
but
I think it's good. I think, what you were saying is like, and I love the last thing that you were sharing. Like, if your identity is in being a chiropractor, then the moment that's up for question, like your patient volume is low or this is low. And again, this is again a whole another conversation. The idea around as a leader staying level, right?
yes.
Like, oh, the storm is coming. No, but we still got, like, God's got this. So like, I'm going to be level headed, even during the highs and the lows. I'm not going to show up into my office and be like, our numbers are down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to be level headed. Now, is that all the time? No, I have times where I'm not level headed. I'm sure, Kristine, you have times when you're not level headed. It's like, and we have processes and things to do so we don't bring that into the team, right? But when your identity is in your practice and something is not going well, that is like, think of your identity, which is what, when your identity is secure, you have peace. And your identity is, think of it like legs of a table. And if I take out the leg of the table as you're a good chiropractor, which could be something as simple as like a patient coming in and saying, I don't like my care and I want my money back, or you hurt me, or whatever it is. Like, we've all had those, right? I'm not saying those things don't hurt and they're not hard to deal with, but when your identity is in yourself, then it crumbles. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, that's who I am though. You know what I'm saying? Versus, and I've had this, gosh, I've had so many experiences. Like, this is my life for a very long time. But when your identity is as a son or daughter of God, what I call divine identity, it's who your Father is that determines. So like, oh, that person, oh, this person, it's not that it's hard, but it's like, okay, I'm seeing it through like a different lens. You know what I'm saying? Or someone cut me off on the road. Like, I'm seeing, it's funny. I've shared this with you before. The days that I go to Bible study, driving is easy. The days that I don't go to Bible study, I'm like, everybody's cutting me off. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is going on here? Like, are they trying to get at me? But I realized that I'm like, no, I'm just so much, my identity is like, when I can be in the Word. And again, guys, I'm not like a super, as you get to know me, I'm not like an uber spiritual person, to be honest with you. Like, people wouldn't consider Dave like an uber spiritual person. I'm like Thomas, if you don't ever read the Bible, it's like he didn't believe Jesus rose, so he had to like go like put his hand. I'm kind of like that. I'm at the point though where I'm like, this is just a good way to live. Like, even if you don't believe, kind of fake it till you make it. Not really, but I'm just saying, like, it's such a good way to live. And so even if you just get into the word because you're like, this is a good way to live. You know what I'm saying? Not, okay, I mean, I'm not saying don't believe in God. What I'm saying is that start by getting into the word. I think that'll show you a lot of things and show you whose you are. And I think when you know whose you are, you're able to have a level of peace that is like, I'm not worried about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I found out my uncle is very sick with cancer. And I was talking to you about this, Kristine, and I was like, and I still have joy. Like, I still have peace. And like, this man that I'm very close to is like a second dad to me. He's not going to be with us very longer, but I still have peace because my identity is not in my family or in my, my relation to my uncle or any of that stuff. Not saying that those things aren't good. It's he knows God. Like, let's like finish this race strong and get to heaven together. You know what I'm saying? Like now, is it still hard? And have I had hard moments? For sure. But it's like, I was shocked. Honestly, at my response when I found out, I was shocked. I was like, what is going on in my body? Like, why do I feel peace about this? With all of this crazy thing. And then for Kairos listening, I've been going to the doctor with him, like the oncology ward with him. You want to, believe more in what you go to the oncology ward, spend some time in the oncology ward. I mean, it's like death. It's like death. And I'm like, I have peace in this,
Your identity should never be in something that can be taken away from you. So if you're like your volume, your practice, your money, your family, if it can be taken away from you, that is not where you store your identity. And it actually will make you not successful because everything's going to stem from who you see yourself as. So your identity has to be in something that can't be taken away from you. And as a chiropractor, let's just like if we push having faith and being a daughter or son of Christ aside, it's your convictions and your belief system that cannot be taken away from you no matter what your volume is, no matter what the patients say. And I think when you work really hard and you sit in the fire and you're like, no matter what happens, like chiropractic is the right way to do things. Everybody should have a clear nervous system. The medical model is killing people. Like when you're like, I am like, my heels are bolted to the floor on chiropractic philosophy and a principled life, like my belief systems, like part of my identity is what I believe, not just who I am in Christ. Like nobody can take that away from me. And like that's when you're secure, and then things will outflow from that and you'll experience more peace because nobody can take that from you.
Yeah. So good. Man, I'm going to listen to this on
We're done
replay.
now.
This is awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. I'm going to call you right after this and continue this conversation, but we gotta end the show for the sake
And
of
for the
those listening.
people.
But God bless you, Kristine, and thanks for coming on here. And again, we'll have you as a regular on the show. I feel like we can unpack a lot of things, but hopefully if you listen to this served you. Again, the purpose of this show and the people that I bring on here is just really just to serve you guys, and to give you guys a place where you can come and listen and have us just talk through stuff with you. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. And with that being said, close it out. We'll see you guys next time.